This segment is specific to clarifying questions and parent and community involvement.
Okay, I had several questions about Promise Time, and Promise Time is our before and after school, basically our extended learning program. The students work in small groups and or the computer lab to work on iReady, iStation, ST Math, and other initiatives that we're working on here in school. It is 1 hour after school and about 40 minutes, 45 minutes before school. It is a voluntary program. It's free to students. The teachers are paid through an outside organization, and we use data to determine what we do with the students while they are at Promise Time. So, being that our computer initiatives are iStation and ST Math, we use a lot of that data to gauge what they're doing. We have about 69% of our below level students enrolled in Promise Time this year. The hardest thing we're trying to deal with is the between time. We take students to the cafeteria for a meeting spot, and they don't get picked up by their tutor until after school hours, which is 3 o'clock, 3:10. So there's a good 30 to 45 minutes in which the students are having dinner, because that too is provided by the program at 2:35 in the afternoon. And so just having something for them to do before they move on to that next piece, where they're actually working with their tutor, that has been a challenge. So we're still working to improve that. We have about 160 kids involved in the Promise Time program at this point. Again, it's just another one of our extended learning programs. The Stage Lab, there were questions about the Stage Lab, and basically it is what it sounds like. It was a makeshift lab that I took a computer cart and I put tables, fold-out tables, and put them up on the stage in the cafeteria. And I had a class set in there of 18, and during lunchtime, once the students were finished eating, they have a 30-minute lunch, but it only takes them 10 to 15 to eat. I would have identified students have days where they would rotate onto the lab to the stage, and they would work on some of those computer-based programs. It was very well received by the students. They would beg to go up there to work on iStation and Promise Time, but to be quite honest, and ST Math, but to be quite honest, it is not within the fire code, and that is something just worth mentioning because the stage wasn't built to be a classroom. So if any of you decide to build a stage lab, know that there are some rules around it. As far as goal setting, yes, the students do goal set regularly. The iStation data comes out on monthly or however often you pull the on-demand assessments for ongoing progress monitoring. And we did use that data to goal set with the students as far as mainly focusing on Tier 3 kids. What would it take for them to move on to Tier 2 and Tier 1 kids, and let them just see their progress. Personally, I would print my whole administrative team participated in our data chats with the students, and we used the student summary handout, which gave them graphs. So it was a nice visual way for them to see where they were and where they were moving to with the graphs. The teachers allowed them the opportunity in the classroom. It's a part of their regular rotations to work on some of the programs. But the teachers knew that we were having the data chats, and some of that has filtered down to the teachers. We wanted to get to know our students, so we really assumed a very active role in that. And I would recommend that for administration, to know our kids in and outside of the school, but really to know the data, because there's a lot of correlation between student performance on iStation and student performance on state testing. Having that time for them to sit down with us and talk about their data and to goal set, it was just so valuable for them to, as fourth graders at that point, to have those serious conversations. I felt like it really did a lot for them in terms of their maturity and their buy-in to their own learning. That was something that was just great, and it was typically a positive thing. You weren't talking about negative. Now they would take dips, and those would become parts of the conversation too. But just really focusing on their positive and asking them what actually do they need, what got in the way, what just getting to know them. You can't say that enough about getting to know your students, and having relationships with them is very important for me in the work that I was doing with them. And in my daily work is knowing them, knowing their name, being able to say good morning and their name. And in a school of 600, having only been here for a couple of years and a lot of turnover, that's not always the case. I don't always know their names, but I guarantee you I know the Tier 3 students' names. I know our strugglers, and I know our kids who have some behavioral issues. So I think just that's hugely important, because I think it makes them feel valued, and making sure that I'm not using their names for anything other than to make them know that I know who they are and I value them and I care about them. The parents were supportive of our work. We have a very strong ESOL population, and our parents are very involved. I make a lot of positive phone calls, and I think that for many parents, they're surprised when they receive that positive phone call. I think it kind of takes them down a notch too, because you can hear the tone when you first ask for the family member, and then just telling them, I don't have anything negative to tell you, nobody's sick or hurt, but let me share with you what happened with your child today. So again, just relationship building. And I'm not going to pretend that everything was always rosy, peachy. There are issues along the way. Every stakeholder, every student didn't necessarily have a success story. Every student didn't have the outcomes that we wanted. There were bumps along the way. Every teacher doesn't 100% buy into this, but my plan is to continue leading by example, and not just talk the talk, but walk the walk, and show my teachers and show my students that I do believe in them, and that I do value the relationship that I have with them, and I let them get to know me. And we just continue moving forward that way.